Ryote Hazushi. Ryote is both hands. Te is hand. Ryo is both. Ryote is both hands. Hazushi is to release or escape. Ryote Hazushi, both hand, release or escape. Someone is grabbing both of my hands with both of their hands. We have 3 versions of this technique. Our basic version and 2 variations. Our first variation is the traditional version, but I will do our first version first. In all 3 cases, someone is grabbing both of my wrists with both of their hands. Just like the rest of you are, anytime someone's grabbing my wrists, I'm immediately going to sink and get a good base. It's not going to do me much good to do a technique while they're pulling me off balance and I escape pitching forward with my head for them to punch, knee, or strike. Grabbing, my first instinct to is sink and get a good base. Actually making the wrists, their grab a little tighter is actually going to make it easier for me to do this technique. Just like our single wrist grabs, I'm not pulling or pushing. I'm not trying to grab or move around on a straight line. I'm going to make circular motions. I'm basically going to do our first wrist escape, Katate Hazushi Ichi, on both hands. Sink, bring my hands together. I'm not going to interline my fingers, just clasp my hands, and then the hand that's on top, I'm going to do Katate Hazushi Ichi, a basic escape. Sink, hands together, and escape. I like to follow it up, maybe a shot to the neck, a chop, maybe an elbow to the solar plexus, and or a chop to the neck. But the basic technique, sinking, hands together, the hand that's on top, escape, just like you do on Katate Hazushi Ichi. I won't go into a lot of details on that. If you don't know what I mean, watch the video Katate Hazushi Ichi. But imagining a pen going through my wrist and everything's rotating around that spot. Not pulling or pushing or moving around. Everything's rotating around that spot. Sink, hands together, escape. Maybe follow up with a strike. If you want to practice this, take 2 belts. I have a door that I'm able to have enough space where I can put a knot on the end, both ends of 2 belts. I have 2 loops. Maybe you could tie it to something outside. Any event where you have a loop of a belt on each side to grab you with. 2 ways to practice this. I can go in from the outside so that I can continually do this technique over and over again without dropping the belts. Just sink and twist. Up, sink and twist. Sinking, hands together, twist. Sink, hands together, twist. If you want to feel the release, grab from the inside out, and then bring your hands together and escape. Releasing from the inside out, just like you'd be grabbed, sink and escape. Follow up with a strike if you want. Our first variation, which is the traditional version, same idea, grabbing me, I'm sinking. It's going to be a lot like our wrist escapes with a single wrist escape, except I'm doing it with both hands. Sink, make a circular motion, come all the way around, and cut. Just like I did on Katate Hazushi Ichi with one hand, going around, turning my hand over and cutting. With my blade of my hand against their wrist, I'm doing it on both hands. Sinking, circular motion, turn those hands over and cut. One problem I have here with people stopping is we are now in a neutral position. They could still follow up with a strike or something else. So I think even though a follow-up strike isn't part of the technique, I think it's important to do something to follow up at this point, even if it's stepping back out of range. Step, cut, or step, cut, and then you've got all your center line attacks. One that I like is I just strike with both hands, solar plexus and bladder. Another one I like is just to go up to a double necktie, got a knee strike, some kind of a throw, and a lot of nice finishes from there. But But again, your basic technique is sinking, single wrist escape with both hands, turning all the way around, cutting, and then step back or step in with your center line attack. Same thing to practice with the belts. If you want to practice continuous motion, you're going to reach in from the outside, sink, and feel the cutting motion. You can feel the pressure on the belt, the resistance as you sink, and feel the cutting, and feel as you turn your hands over, cutting into the belt. If you want to feel the actual escape, same thing. I'm going to reach from the inside, sink, I still get my pressure, circular motion, and escape. Inside out, sink, circular motion, cut. Follow up with your strikes if you want. Last version, same thing, grabbing with both hands and sinking. I'm going to strike their wrists together. As long as they're holding me with their hands, I'm controlling where their wrists are going. Sink, kind of make a pulling motion, a little bit like a bow, but not a big one, just a little bow, and then I strike their own wrists together. Sink, bow, strike. It's going to release my bottom hand, and the free hand's going to come over and strike the wrist of the hand that's still holding me, freeing the other one, and then this hand follows through with a back fist to the face. I see a lot of people do this when they're first learning. It's a little bit jerky. All I want you to do is just practice rolling your hands. It's almost like you're working on a speed bag. Just circular motion. That's what it should look like when you do it. Each knee, sun. Escape, escape, strike. Escape, escape, strike. This kind of motion. Sink, strike the wrist together, freeing the bottom hand. Strike the wrist, freeing the other hand. Back fist. Again with the belt. This one, it's a little hard to do in continuous motion from the outside because the belts with the bands will get caught up. But you can still practice the actual release, reaching from the inside. Sink, strike, freeze one belt, strike, freeze the other belt, back fist. Again from the inside. Sink, strike, strike, strike. Good luck practicing Ryote Hazushi.